Okay, it's recording.
I've never thought how we're gonna start this. 3,
No.
2,
Babe.
1. 3,
Fixing my hair.
2, 1. Hi, I'm Josh.
I'm Makenzie.
You've probably watched a few of my vlogs already. Right now we're making our way through Europe. And we are making this video from our Airbnb apartment in Paris. It's about 5 minutes from the Bastille. But today we're going to talk about a few topics like why did we choose Europe? How are we affording this? How do we find places to stay? How do we figure out where to go once we're at our destination? And are the places that we go to, like, are they safe? So we hope that this Q&A helps you with some of your questions, and we help you satisfy that inner wanderer that you have. So yeah, we'll start off with why did we pick Europe?
It's for sure been on our bucket list since we've been married, right?
Yeah. What else? You've been here, right?
Yeah, I've been here once before when I was studying abroad.
When were you last in Europe?
In 2012.
Okay.
The summer of 2012. It was right before Josh and I met.
Yeah, like Makenzie said, like this has definitely been on our marriage bucket list. And random fact, I was actually born in Germany because my dad was stationed there. My mom and dad lived there. And so part of this trip was I wanted to go back to Germany and be able to see the little town or city that I was born in. Okay, so this question we'll get sometimes, and I thought we'd answer this because it's not as difficult as some people think. How did we afford to get here? How did we make this happen? What are we made out of money?
No, we're not.
What are we made out of? I think like 70% water. I don't know. Okay, how did we fly here?
Our American Express.
American Express.
The best thing ever.
How much did it cost?
We just paid taxes, so I think in total it was $300.
Yeah, about there. So,
yeah.
Because we booked our flights in October 2016.
October, yeah.
Okay, and
right now it's end of January, last day of January.
Yeah, so is this a desirable time to come to Europe?
No. I literally just went up to my boss. I said, when can we take 2 weeks off to go to Europe? And she said, end of January. So that's why we're here at this cold time.
Yeah, the first leg of our trip was freezing because we spent time in Germany and in the Czech Republic. Paris luckily has been a little more forgiving. It was 52 degrees today.
Yeah,
we were sweating wearing our winter jackets. But yeah, we definitely use our Delta Sky Miles. I highly recommend getting some sort of mileage card. We personally prefer Delta.
We have a lot of friends that use Capital One though, which we've heard good things about.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any mileage success stories, let us know because we're always looking to better understand the airline industry as well. But yeah, we were able to fly here to Europe for just $300 paying the taxes. One of the things that we do to be able to afford what we want to do is before coming here, we do research. So luckily Makenzie really likes organizing things. She actually did a lot of our agenda. So what are some of the things that you did to help us figure out our plans?
Well, the hardest thing is that you have to figure out your accommodations and your travel, like your bus or your train or your flight between countries. And you can't just do one at a time, but you have to do it all together. Sorry.
Do your research.
Yeah, you have to do your research because, for instance, we were only going to stay in Ansbach for one night, and we figured out the train didn't go that night, and so we or the bus, we took a bus. And so we ended up having to stay there 2 nights.
In Nuremberg.
Yeah. Well, Ansbach's easier to explain that. But we ended up staying 2 nights in Nuremberg because of the buses.
Yeah, so do your research ahead of time. Have a basic idea of what you want to do and what you want to accomplish because that'll figure out your pricing structure. One thing too is it's important especially if you're traveling as a married couple. I don't know about the dynamics of traveling with a group of friends, but if you're traveling as a married couple, you need to know what things you're willing to sacrifice and what things you're willing to splurge on. Because I know some people don't like taking subways.
Yeah, they'd rather just like walk everywhere.
Uh-huh.
And even though we walk a ton here, we take a lot of subways as well.
Subways don't look entirely glamorous either. I mean, some of them smell pretty bad. But it helps us get to where we need to go, and we're willing to at least sacrifice on that part. We're not willing to walk and spend half a day walking to get to the attractions that we want to get to.
Yeah, especially in the winter when it's so cold, like you want to take the subway.
Yeah, trust us. Even though it smells sometimes. Third thing that we're going to talk about is how do we find places to stay? What website or what company do you prefer to use, Makenzie?
Airbnb.
Why?
It's a lot cheaper to stay at an Airbnb than like a hotel. And we looked at hostels because you can get hostel rooms for just the two of you. It's like pretty much just like a hotel room. But we just like the accommodations that Airbnb had versus a hostel, because in a hostel you have to pay for like a towel to use and you have like communal bathrooms. And so in Airbnbs you can find small places that's cheaper sometimes.
Yeah, going back to what we were talking about, like you have to know what things you're willing to give up and what things you absolutely want in your accommodations. And for us, we, as much as possible, we like to stay in an Airbnb that we have our own bathroom.
Yes. Like we'll stay in someone's house, but we need our private bathroom because it's just awkward having to like, if you're getting up in the middle of the night, you don't want to like put on clothes and everything just to go to the bathroom.
Well, and I mean, for me personally, I'm 6'4", and the towels that they give us aren't always big. So it's like, don't want to have to run down the hallway with a little towel designed for a 5-year-old kid. Figure out like what things that are important to you and what things you need. And I mean, if you wanted to splurge and spend $1,000 a night, you can do that with Airbnb. At the same time, if you wanted to go cheap and find places that are only $30 a night, you can do that as well. So some of the things that we take into consideration when finding an Airbnb are location, the price.
Does it have Wi-Fi?
Yeah, does it have Wi-Fi? So like
That's important
amenities
for us.
and reviews.
We've never stayed at a place that hasn't been reviewed before. Because a lot of people think that Airbnb isn't very safe. And I think that you just have to be smart about it. So if the place has never been reviewed, you don't know if it's going to be safe or not. Or if you're going to get screwed over by the host because no one stayed there yet. Definitely we look for reviews on the host.
Yeah, we've, so now we can say that we've used Airbnb in, let's see, how many states? At least three or four states. So New York, Utah, California, Hawaii.
Nevada.
Yeah, Nevada. And then we've also stayed outside of the country so far. We've been in Germany, Czech Republic, and France. And so those categories, looking at location, like where is your Airbnb in relation to the activities that you want to do? The price, what are you willing to pay every night? And the amenities, like things that you can't do without. Like for us, we both do marketing online. And so we need reliable Wi-Fi. Our first place in Belgium, no, not Belgium, Berlin. Our first place in Berlin had horrible Wi-Fi. The thing would crash every 2 minutes. So it wasn't very reliable.
It was so awful.
One of my vlogs, it took about 3 hours to upload it, like a video that was like a few minutes. So.
And they said they had good Wi-Fi. None of the reviews said otherwise. So that was a fail.
So maybe it was just us.
Known.
Yeah. But yeah, try to look if there's reviews, like at least 10 reviews for a place before you book it. And read through so that way you have a better idea of what to expect at the Airbnb. Do you speak another language besides English?
No, not at all.
How difficult is it to get around in Europe, or how easy is it to get around in Europe?
I mean, I think that some things are hard
Like
and
what?
some things have been easy.
What's been difficult?
And it's mainly just like who you're dealing with. So those, sometimes that'll be hard, but you can just kind of pick out the stop you're going at and figure that out. And same with restaurants. A lot of restaurants don't have like an English menu. So that can be difficult, but most of the waiters will speak like decent English.
Decent English, yeah.
And so
it's actually very doable. Like if you're worried about not being able to communicate,
it's fine.
You can totally get around. The biggest thing is like, do you understand how to read a map? Like, can you understand a subway map? Can you recognize characters in different fonts? Because sometimes it'll be the same word but just in a different font. Like for example, we're here in Paris and a lot of the restaurants, they'll write their menus.
Yeah, it's like handwritten on the
handwritten
wall.
And it's cursive and it's very hard to write.
That's hard to read.
So it's hard to read, yeah.
Like way harder.
So it gets difficult. But yeah, a lot of people speak English here in Europe that we've come across. And so, especially hand gestures. And I think the biggest thing is being respectful.
Yeah.
Why is it important to be respectful?
Because if you're nice to people, then they'll try and be nice too. Even if they don't know what you're saying, they'll still be nice.
Some of the people we've come across, like they seem kind of stiff, but as long as you have a good demeanor when you're dealing with them, they'll try to help you out. I think you just have to trust that people are inherently good, and that'll help you make up for your language deficiencies.
Yeah.
How do we figure out where to go? Like once we're in the city, what do we do?
Places like Paris and London I've been before, and so I kind of already know the huge landmarks. In these cities, we kind of just talk about it the night before, and we're like, okay, what do we want to do tomorrow? In Germany, we definitely had to do a lot more research on like the museums around and things like that. But we just we have like a general idea, but then just the night before, we'll just figure out a plan of like what time do we want to leave, where do we want to go. Mm-hmm. Kind of go from there.
We really enjoy looking at art and museums and a lot of like historical landmarks. So I mean, this one's kind of a given, the Eiffel Tower. We like to go to a lot of those popular tourist attractions and art galleries. So one thing that we'll use though to get around is so even if your phone is on airplane mode, so I'll put my phone on airplane mode, but I'll also keep my Google Maps app open.
Which you have to have Wi-Fi to get the map loaded where you are. Uh-huh. So as long as at night you can load your map, and then the next day you can follow along the whole way.
Yeah, and so it'll show you where you're going. It'll give you like real-time feedback. The GPS still works, but yeah, like Makenzie was saying, you'll need Wi-Fi if you don't want to pay for international coverage. You'll need Wi-Fi to be able to have those maps of the city that you're in as you navigate through. Otherwise, it'll just show green and some major streets.
Yeah. And the cool thing about Google Maps too is it shows the subway stops. So you can literally say where you're going and the subway stop right next to it.
Yeah, so we've been getting around for, like in Bastille, we can just map things. Well, not exactly map it, but we can say, okay, we need to get to the stop at Bastille.
And we'll just watch where we're walking to make sure we're walking in the right direction.
Yeah, so just follow the blue dot. But that's what we do. And usually if we can, we'll grab one of those public transportation maps.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's one of the travel hacks that we've figured out is keep Google Maps open, and as long as you connect to Wi-Fi the day before or whatever, and you don't close it, you'll be able to have all the streets out, and it'll track you and help you figure out which direction you need to go. The last part is what we're doing safe. Is it safe?
Is Europe safe?
Is Europe safe? Some of the concerns. I mean, we're in Paris, and just seemingly not too long ago they had a major attack. Yeah, how have you felt about so far? I mean, we've been to 2 other countries before coming to France.
I mean, I feel like you have to go on like your gut, like how you're feeling about the people around you. But I've totally felt safe most of the time, but we're also not, like, we're not walking around with our phones just like hanging out. I'm always either holding my phone in my pocket, or I put it like in my backpack on the small of my back. Mm-hmm. We're smart about like where we're putting things.
Well, a couple months ago I watched this video on YouTube and it talked about like blending in into the environment, and I definitely don't blend in, as you can see. Makenzie blends in a lot better. Blonde, blue eyes, she's white, I'm brown. Most people have never seen anyone of Polynesian descent, especially like when we were in Prague. You're definitely an outlier, but you can still blend in by doing things to not attract attention. I think.
Definitely not talking loud. Mm-hmm. That definitely helps you blend in. People are really quiet here. Yeah. And I think it's also because they're traveling alone on their subway because they're going to work. And so you need to be quiet and like respectful. Uh-huh. And just watch what other people are doing, because then you'll notice what they're doing and you just imitate them. Yeah, so try to, I think, just kind of be a human chameleon. Yeah. I mean, because one thing is, like, you can definitely tell when someone's a tourist lots of times because they're very loud, especially American tourists. They're kind of yeah. We were on a bus that we took from Nuremberg all the way to Paris, and for part of the trip there were American students on there with us, and they were very loud. They were so loud, like they were very rambunctious. It's the middle of the night, so everyone's trying to sleep. Yeah, it's. And they just were, the stupidest jokes. So if you want to attract danger, that's definitely something. Hey, I'm Josh. I was like sighing. Ready? That's what I'm counting down. I know, but like I wasn't ready. Yeah, that's what I'm counting down. So you can be like.